Ramos.
This is Officer Ramos with Boulder Police Department. I work Monday through Thursdays, 7 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. Please leave a message. I'll get back with you as soon as I can. Thank you. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hello, Officer Ramos. This is Sean Schwartz. It's pretty important that you get back to me. I'm assuming it must be Friday since you're not answering your phone. Please forgive me for my days being confused one to the next because every day is hell for me. I need you to call me back, sir. I really do. I suppose, as it is Friday, Officer Ramos is not on duty. I just checked. The problem is that Internal Affairs has been contacted and refused to do their job. Evidence needs to be collected on the wrongdoing of these officers, but without charges being brought against these officers, they can ignore the evidence until it gets, well, lost, destroyed, or is no longer allowed in court because of a time limit. Because of this little thing that I had a major problem with since I was a kid, and that little thing is called what? Yeah, not jurisdiction in this case. It's called a statute of limitations. See, the things that were done to me as a child, my parents didn't give a fuck. Matter of fact, some of those things they actually took part in. My parents, however, did something that I did not. They got into drugs and could not get off of the drugs. Now, that's not to say I never tried drugs. Shit, I tried meth for 30 whole days. I lived underneath Matt Worley's bed at the motel in Chapel, Nebraska. The first time I ended up homeless, I was staying underneath Matt Worley's bed. Not the first time I ended up homeless. The first time I ended up homeless in Boulder. That's because Matt Worley, Case Layton Morse, a guy by the name of Adam, who is Matt Worley's brother, and a few other meth heads like Drake Chambers and Jason Vogt, and also Little J, Jason Jepson. There's two Jason Jepsons. Little J is Jason, and Big J is Json. Little J has an older brother named Mike, who used to be a cop in Chapel, Nebraska, and can testify to the crooked nature of Jim Haith. Big J has a nephew named Brent Jepson, who is an officer in Sidney, Nebraska. Matter of fact, I was able to get a character reference from that man. Well, both Big J and Brent. Except there's a lot of information and a lot of evidence that's missing from my bags of evidence. Officers everywhere that I went took part in what's called professional courtesy. This isn't professional courtesy to turn a blind eye to officers harming the most punished people in America, the most picked on people in America, the most victimized people in America. There are more hate crimes against homeless people than all other hate crimes combined. But then when you look at FBI statistics, they don't consider a hate crime against a homeless person a hate crime. The FBI takes part in this too. See, we don't want to believe that homeless people are people. We want to vilify and monsterize them. And that makes it okay for you to be villains to them and be monsters to them. This is disgusting. One of the major issues the Boulder Police Department are about to have is that my YouTube channel, even though it only has 11 subscribers, in the last 3 days, there have been over 1,000 minutes of viewing. That's actually pretty phenomenal given the circumstances. 3 days ago, I had 271 views since the start of my channel. Today, it's approaching 500. That means people are starting to look. It also means people are going to start trying to destroy that evidence, including police officers. Many of the people who I was in contact with that ran away like little bitches, it's because they were harassed, threatened, or intimidated by police officers. Not the bollingers, but police officers. And then web wingnuts who want to destroy anything that I have to say. This includes the bollingers. These people want to shame me for things that I didn't do. Meanwhile, there's a bunch of people who want to shame me for things that I did do as well. However, they weren't there for those situations, and they didn't pay attention. Because had they paid attention, they'd have known, number one, that I already admitted to all of my worst sins. Well over a year ago, I admitted to those before Natalie got shot in the head. Who is it that had access and control over Natalie enough to use her email, or force her to use that email and shame her into getting into a vehicle with Joseph Michael Lopez to have her head blown off? That would be Ted Bollinger. He did this once after her death with Alicia Bollinger at my grandmother's funeral. He got onto her YouTube account. Now, I had a YouTube account that I had created so that I could get the word out. And everything has been done to limit my audience. By audience, I'm not referring to people as someone who needs to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Entertained. I'm talking about people who need to be educated on the situation. People who did terrible things because of slander. See, when Natalie and Alicia lied and said that I stalked them, they knew that it was not the truth when they said it. When Alicia told Maddie Boa that I had threatened her and her family, it was a lie. And she knew it was a lie when she said it. When Maddie Boa started telling people in Boulder, Colorado, who were on methamphetamines that were customers of hers, that I was a child molester, a rapist, and a stalker, she knew it was a lie. She knew it was a lie outright. These officers who took part in this, trying to protect other officers who did wrong, they knew that these officers did wrong, or they would have had no issues with looking at the evidence. I will not stop speaking out. My father is a coward. He's been a coward as long as I've known him. He likes to bully people that are littler than him. That is cowardice. He likes to bring his wife in to gang up on me because he can't win an argument against someone of my supreme intelligence. There's one of them ego words. Why do I have such a fucking ego? Because my self-esteem was torn apart as a child. I thought I was a human being and the system taught me otherwise. My family taught me otherwise. The Boulder Police Department taught me otherwise. The general public taught me otherwise. I am not considered a human being to most of you. The media does not consider me a human being. See, in order to be impartial, they have to investigate both sides. But do they? No. Then there's people like Alyssa Rainwater. I'm angry with her. She wants to make sure that I've been eating. Now, when I was in jail, she was the one who actually put money on so that I could use the telephone. Her mother had tried almost 5 weeks earlier to do the same thing, but was unable to do so. The money was taken out of her account, but it never got to me. And that allowed me to be victimized by those officers repeatedly. For them to frame me repeatedly. For them to victimize me for speaking out. My name was destroyed by things that I did not do. I have to deal with a bunch of cowards. See, these cowards that I'm dealing with are the Bollingers and also Ken and Leah. Leah Plunkett, Ken Wilson. See, instead of them coming after me directly, they had Dawn Bird do it. And Dawn's ex-boyfriend, Blaine, do it. Just like the Bollingers. They didn't come after me themselves. All they did was spread rumors. And other people did it for them. Why? Because they're pretty. We're also talking about 1percenters. You know what those are, right? They're bikers who think they're badass. They're fucking lollygaggers and fucking lazy-ass little bitches. Rose Kelly, she didn't actually break the law, but the rest of her family did. The rest of Natalie's family, I should say. Danica broke the law. The problem is, with my technical abilities and not having a place to work on it, I can't even make phone calls. Things that I should have been able to do 2 years ago, I'm not able to do. Still, lack of resources. They all went to people who victimized me, including the courts in Colorado. You want to pretend like it's not that corrupt. Meanwhile, in the news, it shows how corrupt it is. Like that officer Jesse Jensen getting shot in the forehead by a female police officer in LaSalle, Colorado, Weld County. He had antidepressants in his system. It's illegal for him to own or operate a firearm. Just so you know, when I ended up homeless, I got rid of all of my firearms. Do you know why? Because it's unsafe. Same reason I didn't carry weapons. However, these people wanted to paint me and portray me in a way that is both illegal and immoral. And by destroying my voice, by destroying my name, by destroying evidence, by omitting evidence, they are just as guilty as the Bollingers. The officers in Colorado, they don't mind lying to the one-sided media that only looks at one side. There's a woman named Jennifer Dejowski. She lied to me repeatedly last year, and she did the same thing that Alyssa Rainwater and her mother, Mandy Hughes, do. She's always sick. She's always got an injury. She's always busy. Am I mad at Alyssa for that? No. I'm mad because so many people have used that as an excuse in the last year that I've literally had no help. No actual help. Throwing money at me is not what I need. I needed someone to go in with me to make the police take a report, to make them do their jobs. I fought hard to make it so that Colorado officers had to wear body cams, but they don't. There's a man named Darren O'Connor. I'm going to tell you about this here situation in Boulder. They got Black Lives Matter bitching all over the fucking place because some black dude got treated like a homeless person. Fuck that dude. That bitch got to go to college. That bitch has a roof over his head. But he is more important than the homeless because of that roof. And because of the color of his skin. If you take away his roof, nobody would have given a fuck about him. You take away the color of his skin and let him keep his roof. People aren't going to give a fuck. They're not going to come to a fucking rally for that shit. Hell no. At this point in time, I look at this Black Lives Matters bullshit as a goddamn KKK rally. Because they don't give a fuck about your rights. They only give a fuck about black rights. Only. If you're a homeless black person that this happens to, they're not going to give a holy goddamn about you, because even black people don't give a fuck about the homeless. Do I mean all black people? No, I mean the majority of black people who are not homeless. You ask a black homeless person how he feels. You go find yourself a black homeless person right now, and you ask him how he feels. You want to be pissed off at me about all this bullshit against Christians? A preacher and his daughter murdered that preacher's wife and blamed it on a homeless person. Tried to do the same thing that was done to me by the police. But I've been speaking out about this for years. They had to destroy my name before they could destroy my voice. For over 2 years, I have been harassed, threatened, and assaulted, and ignored by the police. Or assaulted by them, and been vilified by them, over shit that I did not do. Now, there are things that I did do. Fuck yes, I lit the road next to Ken and Leah's truck on fire. Was there any damage to the vehicle? No, there wasn't. Public pretenders across the state took part in protecting officers and not doing their jobs. Every public pretender that I had was aware that I had been assaulted by the police, yet they turned a blind eye. When it came to that woman who, Evan Daka and Carmia, thought that was supposed to be my advocate. No, she refused to be my advocate. That woman's name was Jaylyn. Broomfield Victims' Rights. Why have I not had a victims' rights advocate? Why have I been denied the right to make a report? Why have I been assaulted by police officers for attempting to make reports? Why is this acceptable to the American society? 2 reasons. Number 1, I'm black. No, I'm not. Number 2, I don't have a roof. Am I black? No, I'm worse off than any black person you're likely to meet. Good luck finding a black person who's been beaten up for the color of their skin as many times as I have. Good luck with that. I will speak out until the day that I am dead. You fucking cowards can kiss my ass. Have a nice day.